Welcome back to All This Math. This is Professor Parker, and we're going to do some work with reducing, which is sometimes called simplifying, but reducing fractions. Now, reducing fractions, what does that mean? What does it mean to reduce? To make smaller. So when you reduce a fraction, what we're actually doing is we're making the numerator and denominator into a smaller number. All right, so those are going to become smaller numbers. All right, again, shout out to, well, not again, but shout out to Frederick Douglass, the ancestor, the scholar, the statesman, the writer, just all around, just solid brother who freed himself. He was an enslaved African in Maryland and freed himself, and then became an abolitionist, and traveled the world, speaking about the ills of slavery, and actually helped to recruit brothers for the, Civil War, to fight with the Union Army in the Civil War to try to end chattel slavery. So definitely shout out to Frederick Douglass. Check him out if you're not as familiar with him. He wrote three autobiographies. So there's a lot of work that he put out there. He left for us to study and analyze and be able to understand history, which should be able to help us to better understand the condition that we're in today in 2023 as I record this video. All right, now, reducing fractions. Now, how do you reduce fractions? How do you reduce a fraction, right? What you do is you first look at the fraction, right? We see we have 10/15. Ask yourself, make sure you understand what that represents, what that really means. That means that we have some type of object, some type of entity that is cut up into 15 equal pieces, cut up or divided into 15 equal pieces. And of those 15 equal pieces, we are focused on 10 of those pieces because our numerator is a 10. If our numerator is a 10, that means we're focused on 10 of those pieces. So that's 10/15. All right. Now, if there is a greatest common factor between the numerator and denominator, then that means we can divide the numerator and denominator by that greatest common factor, and we can get smaller numbers for our numerator and denominator. Greatest common factor. Hopefully you're familiar with what a greatest common factor is. I did another video where I described in great detail what a greatest common factor is and how to figure out what the greatest common factor is between multiple numbers. So in this case, we want to know what's the greatest common factor, or the GCF, between 10 and 15. That's what we want to know. So the way you do it is this. All right. Let's list the factors of 10 and 15. So I got 10 and I got 15. Now the factors of 10 are 1 and 10 because 1 times 10, and 2 and 5 because 2 times 5. All right. 10 got 4 factors. That's all of them right there. 1, 10, 2, and 5. That's it. 15. 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. 15 also has 4 factors. I listed them right there, right? That's the F part of GCF. Now, what about the C part, the common part? All right, what's common? 1 and 1 is common. 10 is not common. 2 is not common. 5 is common. 5 and 5. 15 is not. 3 is not. What am I left with? All right, the G part is the greatest, meaning out of the common factors, 1 and 5, what's the greater number? 5. 5 is your GCF of 10 and 15. Now, how do I use that to reduce fractions? What I do is I divide each of these numbers, the numerator and denominator, by that number 5. And what's that going to give you? So we got to know our division facts, right? You got to know your division facts, right? And you know your division facts by knowing your multiplication facts. All right, so you got to know your multiplication facts. That's something you just got to bring to the table already. If you don't have your multiplication facts, meaning 1 times 1 all the way up to 12 times 12, memorized off the top of your head, do yourself a favor and practice them every day until you do. You need to know that. It's like knowing how to walk, right? You know what I'm saying? Like as a baby. When you learn how to walk, right? It's like that. It's like knowing how to ride a bike. It's like knowing how to write your name down, right? You need to know how to do these things, all right? Now, what's 10 divided by 5? That's 2. What's 15 divided by 5? That's 3. Therefore, 2/3, all right? Now, this is why also it's important to find the greatest common factor and not just a common factor, because if you use a common factor, then when you reduce it, you might reduce it, but it might not be reduced to lowest possible terms, right? Because it could be possible to reduce a fraction, but still be able to reduce it even more. And what you want to do is you want to reduce it as low as it possibly can. Like you can't go no lower than 2 and 3, all right? And still have a amount that is equivalent to 10 over 15. Of course, there are numbers less than 2 and 3. I mean, 1 is less than 2, 2 is less than 3, 1 is less than 3, but that won't give you a fraction that's equivalent to 10 over 15 or 10/15. All right. So again, what's my steps? Find the GCF of the numerator and the denominator. and then divide each of the numbers by the numerator, divide the numerator and denominator by the GCF. That's it, and you're done. All right, now 16 over 32. 16 30-seconds, we got an object or entity that's divided up into 32 equal pieces. 32 equal pieces, we are focused on 16 of those pieces, so 16 out of 32. All right, maybe there was a test that had 32 questions on it. Hopefully, unfortunately, this person might have did poorly. They got 16 right. 16 out of 32. All right, that's not too good. All right, but let's list the factors of 16. So 16, we got 1 and 16. 1 times 16. We got 2 and 8, because 2 times 8. And we got 4, because 4 times 4 is 16. All right, that's all the factors of 16. 16 got 5 factors. All right, then we go to 32. 32, we got 1 and 32. Then we got 2 and 16. How do I know that? Because 32 is an even number. Even numbers are always divisible by 2. So I just got to figure out what 32 divided by 2 is. And that would have told me 16. All right. And then we got, let me see. 4 times 8. And that's it. So 32 has 6 factors. Now, the common part. 1 is common. 16 ain't. 2 is common. Oh, I'm tripping. 16 is common. Oh, my mistake. My bad. My fault. Right? 16 is common. So 16 is 16. 8 and 8. 4 and 4. 32 is not common because 32 is too big. So now, these are all your common factors. 1 and 1. 16 and 16. 2 and 2. 8 and 8. 4 and 4. Right? Those are all common. So 16 and 32 got a bunch of common factors. But what's the greatest though? The G stands for greatest. What's the greatest? What's the biggest number out of all of these? 16. All the numbers that they have in common in both lists, 16 is the biggest. So that means we're going to divide each of these by 16. Divide by 16. Divide by 16. 16 divided by 16 is 1. 32 divided by 16 is 2. 1/2. 16 30-seconds is the same thing as 1/2. So if you took a test, 32 questions on it, you got 16 right, you got half of the questions right. That ain't too good. That's like a 50. That ain't too good. You gotta study harder. All right, 12 over 40. All right, so you got an object. It's cut up or divided up into 40 equal pieces. Notice I keep saying equal, not just 40 random pieces, 40 equal pieces. We are focused on 12 of those. 12 of those equal pieces, and then 40 of them all together. So let's list the factors of 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. All right, then we got 40. 1 times 40, 2 times 20, 4 times 10, 5 times 8. Oh, 40 got a lot of factors. Now, we did the C part, no, the F part. The F stands for factor in GCF. GCF stands for greatest common factor. All right, F stands for factor. Now let's do the common part. The 1s are common. 12 is not common. The 2s are definitely common because they're both even numbers. 6 is not common. What about 3? Nah, 3 ain't common. 4 is common. All right, so now, that's the C part. All right, the commons. 1's common, 2's common, and 4 is common. All right, what's the greatest number though? Out of 1, 2, and 4 is 4. So we're going to divide each of these by 4. 12 divided by 4, 40 divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 is going to give us 3. 40 divided by 4 is going to give us 10. And there you go. Final answer, 3/10. So 3/10 is equivalent to 12/40. So we have reduced fractions, right? When we're doing math problems and we have answers that are in fraction form, you're not finished until you reduce your fractions or simplify, right? Reduce, simplify mean the same thing, right? We always simplify fractions, always, all right? So get into the habit of reducing your fractions or simplifying your fractions. Make sure you know what a factor is. Make sure you know how to find the greatest common factor. Go through the process. Write down, if you don't have all the factors memorized, which you should, memorize all the factors of every number. This is my suggestion. Anybody watching this video, memorize all the factors of all numbers from 1 up to 150 at a minimum. Memorize them, meaning know all the factors of the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, the number 4, the number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, on and on, up through 150. Now, you might think that's overwhelming, but I'm going to tell you this. A lot of those numbers are prime numbers anyway, and prime numbers only got 2 factors anyway, 1 and themselves. So that, eliminates a lot of work because 1 only has 1 factor, 1. 2 only got 2 factors, 2 times 1. 3 is prime, 5 is prime, 7 is prime, 11 is prime, 13 is prime, 17 is prime, 19 is prime, 23 is prime. You see what's going on? So a lot of those numbers are prime numbers anyway, right? And then a lot of those numbers, a lot of the numbers, even the composite numbers, a lot of the factors are going to repeat. They're going to be repeats anyway. And you're going to notice patterns. So definitely learn the factors of all these numbers, learn how to find the common factors, and learn what the greatest common factor is. All right? And then use that number to divide by the numerator and denominator so you can reduce fractions. Make sure you know how to reduce fractions. It's a fundamental skill. You got to have this skill. You got to know how to reduce fractions, or sometimes it's referred to as simplify fractions. You got to know how to do that. All right? So go get some practice. I'll holler at you on the next video. Rest in peace and shout out to the ancestor, Frederick Douglass. Peace.